What's going on, world? This is your girl, Marky Lemons-Ryhal, and as you know, I love to talk about lead generation and systems. It makes life so easier for those who are in real estate. And today I have none other than Andrew Fogliato. I hope I said it right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Andrew.
You're good.
I'm
That's
good.
it.
Thank you. You know what? I just realized the other day my father doesn't even spell my name right and there's 5 letters in it. And so I know that a lot of people, how we pronounce and say our names is very important. So I never want to jack that up. I'm elated to have you here today because I love lead generation. And I know that you are an expert and you have your own tools and websites that we're going to refer to people closer towards the end. But let's say that I'm not efficient. I haven't even gotten started with lead gen, but I believe that I can generate my own leads. What is if we want to start at the very beginning, what would that look like?
So the easiest way is if you have a listing. And now I know not every agent has a listing to generate leads with. So what we often say for people like that is there someone in your office you could borrow a listing from? Because we have clients who do that all the time where they just borrow because it's really easy to do that. And if not, there's a few. You basically advertise lists of houses for sale instead of just a specific one. That's the easiest way just to get leads in today. I mean, it's not necessarily, those aren't the highest quality leads you can get. But in terms of, hey, let's just get leads coming in. Let's get people that we can get on the phone with and start chatting to. Leveraging your listings.
Okay, so I'm brand new to the industry. A lot of people come in, they definitely do not have a listing. I go over to my office. I say, hey, anybody got a listing they want more exposure to? They basically let me borrow that listing, and then I'm going to do Facebook ads. Is that your specialty, Facebook ads?
Yeah, and
or is there another ad
type to get leads, which is the Facebook lead ad? So the Facebook lead ad pops up a form on Facebook when they click on your ad that's pre-filled in with their contact information. Mm-hmm. And all the person has to do is hit submit, and it sends you their contact information, and then they get to see all the details about the home. So it's the next step in just above a regular Facebook ad. It's specifically because what happened is so many websites are so bad at actually converting people into a lead that Facebook solved that problem by saying, well, we'll convert them on Facebook. And then it doesn't really matter if your site converts them or not.
So with the lead ad, then I'm keeping everybody inside of Facebook, right?
Yeah. Once they opt in, it gives them an option for you to send them to a link. So you can then have a call to action, go check out all the details about the listing over here. But if there are other ones where we'll do for a guide to how to prepare your home for sale or something like that, where we'll just say, great, it's going to be in your inbox in a few minutes, go back to Facebook.
So you said once they opt in, so I'm getting their information before I send them anywhere else.
Exactly.
Okay. And so Facebook ads, I love Facebook ads. As I tell people, not only does Facebook own Facebook, they also own Instagram, Messenger, WhatsApp. And I believe that it should really be the center of their marketing strategy because of all of the different channels that they cover, including those ads. So in doing those ads, do you have a Instagram strategy rolled into your Facebook strategy?
Yeah, well, it's two different. So there's the organic side of it, and then there's the paid side of it. So on the paid side of it, when we build the Facebook ad, we have that same ad push over to Instagram. Mm-hmm. From a paid lead gen, we'll always get better results off Facebook than we will Instagram. But then when you go to the organic side of things, Instagram will outperform Facebook most of the time. So it kind of depends what your strategy is. And then also some people, their strategy is different. We have some clients who are I don't need more leads off my listing. I want to just generate as much exposure so I could show other sellers in the area what we're doing. So then that changes the approach we're taking with that listing. And then there, sometimes Instagram might end up being better.
So I've never realized that you could have potentially better organic reach over on Instagram, but I'm seeing some things with stories right now where my stories are getting 200, 250 plus views, which I'm thinking oh, that's crazy. The only problem is I'm not at the 10,000 followers in order to be able to put a link inside of the stories. And that for paid, Facebook would be better. And so If we were going to think about Facebook ads, do you do the Facebook ad on behalf of the realtor, or do you teach them how to do their own ads?
We have offerings for both. So we have a kind of a membership community where you can come as basically like having access to our whole team, and we'll teach you how to do it. And every month we'll write a new ad and give it to you. And then you can implement it yourself. And then for people who want willing to invest a little bit more, because we're a little bit more expensive, we'll just do it all for you at varying degrees. Like we have some where it's just a Facebook campaign here and there. And we have others where we basically run their entire digital side of their business.
Okay. So you said $1 to $5 per lead. Let's say I live here on the south side of Chicago. I live in 60653. I want to do an ad essentially 4 blocks by 8 blocks, 8 city blocks. And Chicago is very horizontal vertical. And let's say that I identified 25,000 to 50,000 residents, right? When we look at the $1 to $5, how much do you think that realtors, in order to get decent exposure, should invest in their ad generation, lead generation system per month?
So we look at per 100,000 people, roughly we spend about $10 a day. And that roughly will work out to kind of the right amount so that they see you're at enough to take action, but not so much that you're going to annoy them and turn them off. Now, with that being said, though, it's mainly just in the US market right now, the new rules around Facebook. So the $1 to $5 is specific to listings. And now there's new rules with listing ads in the US of you can only go down to like the smallest you can do is a 15-mile radius. And then you can't do a lot of other targeting. So there's going to be a few things like where you couldn't, for a house for sale, you couldn't target that specific of an area on the south side of Chicago. You'd have to do the full 15-mile radius. In our tests so far with the clients we have, that hasn't really impacted the cost per lead too much, but it changes a bit where you can run the ad to.
Okay. So for $300 a month, right? At the cost of $1 to $5 a lead, we could get as low as 60 leads up to 300. And I guess we're going to probably average right at 150 a month. Would that be about right?
Yeah. And that's assuming you have a constant stream of listings to advertise with.
Yeah.
For people who don't have them, the numbers can change, and that can change a lot from area to area.
So based on the amount of listings, so I know we have to follow our MLS rules. How long are you marketing a property? Let's say the property doesn't go under contract. Do I keep that same property out there, or do I need to always have a flow of fresh properties to advertise?
We recommend, so the way that we do it with our clients is we'll run every property that they get no matter what for 1 week. And then we just look at the numbers. So some properties, the numbers will still show that it's working. Like if a client comes and it's like 1 week and we got $1 a lead for a week, we're going to keep that one going as long as we can keep those numbers. We've had some go for 6 weeks and keep performing really well. We've had some that we've had to shut off before that first week's even over. So we just look at the numbers, and every property ends up being a little bit different. But normally we give at least a week to every property, but that's just as much for the sellers because they want to see that it's been advertised.
I'm just going to go back in time. When I first came into the world of real estate, I had a classified ad that ran in the back of the Sun-Times. I was spending $388 a month for it. I was not generating as many leads. And I'm talking back in 2000. I came into this world in 1999, right? And for Facebook today, I can essentially generate as many leads. But when I'm thinking about it, with Facebook, we can come back and do what? Custom audience. Do they still allow you to do custom audience and lookalike audience based on the changes to Facebook? Oh.
But not to advertise a listing.
But not to in housing. So there's different advertising rules.
So like it's not that it's the way around. It's just like you don't advertise a specific house, then you can use custom. So like for a lot of our clients, they want seller leads. So to generate leads of people looking to sell their home, that you can dive into custom audiences, lookalike audiences, and kind of really get into the nerdy side of Facebook that I really enjoy. But you can't do any of them for a house for sale.
Okay, so with the houses for sale, I'm looking to attract buyers, and the buyers more likely, most new agents when they come in, buyers will be a quicker way in order to obtain a commission. Where for the sellers, because we're not going to promote the property, are we doing 10 tips to selling your home faster? What are you putting out to attract sellers?
So we've got a few different routes with it. A really popular one that seems to work in almost every market, the only ones that didn't work great was Nashville and San Francisco, is a simple guide on how to prepare your home for sale. Because when I first started running the agency side, I went to my first client. I was like, what matters most to your sellers? And every agent we asked that question to, including my first client, always they just want to know what the most money they can get for the property is. That's all they care about. We took the same survey basically and had him send it out to his database, which had about 500 people in it. And about 70% of the answers were all around I want to know how to prepare my home for sale. I'm stressed about preparing my home for sale. So we just created a 3-page checklist of walking through how to prepare your home for sale. So here's the paperwork you need to get together. Here's the information you should collect. Here's what you should do room by room to get it ready for sale. And it's just a simple 3-page one. And even page 1 is actually just an introduction with some testimonials in it. And then page 2 and 3 is actually the checklist. And we just offer that. So it's are you thinking of selling your home? See how the professionals get it ready for sale to get the most money. Download your copy here. And then that kind of kicks off the email side of things. And then we obviously send the lead to the agent to follow up with.
Okay, I'm liking this. I'm loving it from the lead gen standpoint. Even the cost is realistic, because I believe that realtors should invest 10% of their earnings back into their marketing. If we're not doing real estate, because they're due to fair housing, they had to change the ad. So I get the fact that they can't do the custom audience or lookalike audiences with a listing, but you could give them some other guide or tips or infographic, numerous things of that nature. Are you doing video ads?
Yes. So that's where it's interesting. So with a listing, we will actually get a higher cost per lead with a video. So when we run the exact same ad for a listing, but with a video instead of an image, the average cost per lead goes from 1 to 5 to 4 to 8 from what we found.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we're encouraging video utilization because of the level of engagement. So I was honestly thinking that the cost would go down. Yeah.
That's what we thought. And that's why we tested, because every time I think something, I test it just to check, and it's not always right.
The internet will make a lie out of you, right? Because I've, with the titles to my classes, I always go back and research those with CoSchedule and some other tools. And what I thought was going to be hot is never the hot one, and I have to tweak it. Or you might think, looking at Google, right? I was thinking that people were searching a certain way, and come to find out they search in a totally different way. What I do love about the internet and Facebook and all these other tools is they always correct you, and they let you know, your personal thoughts in said market might not apply to every market. And one thing that you stated that just really stood out was the fact that in San Francisco and in Nashville, this type of ad did not resonate with the people there, which is, but you know what not to do in that market now. So then you can actually reduce the cost per ad. So video ads are costing more money based on your A/B testing, which is good to know. You said that the image works better. Let me ask you this. I'm over on Instagram, and oftentimes I will click on an ad, and I'm thinking that these people would have these very robust pages based on the amount that I'm seeing the ad, and I'm realizing they don't really have large engagement on Instagram or their Facebook business page. Are there a lot of people who might not have huge engagement on their Instagram account and their Facebook account, but they're generating phenomenal leads because of their, I guess I can use the word targeting, because of their strategic research, right? Are you seeing more of those accounts?
Oh yeah. For instance, we'll have clients who will create a brand new page with 0 likes on it, 0 posts and we'll generate a ton of leads. Like when you get into the paid side, the amount of followers you have isn't as impactful as a lot of people think. Like, yeah, it can help a lot. So like if we have someone who has an engaged, huge following, then they'll get a lower cost per lead than like the average agent or an unbranded site. When we get into like your average agent, so someone who's not really well known, and if you think of well known, there's probably maybe 2 or 3 per market that are like their presence will actually decrease their cost per lead. For everyone else, we generally won't notice a difference from running the ad as them to running it as like an unknown. There's almost no difference on the paid side. So we just can pump out as much as we want. So it just becomes a dollars in, leads out kind of math equation at that point.
Okay. Because I was noticing it and I'm like, they don't have any engagement. They just set up a page for the purpose of lead generation. When it comes to, I guess, the systems behind it, what are like, besides setting up, being the ability to having a Facebook business page, right? What else does an agent need in order to be successful in doing ads? And you said listings are great, if not borrow them.
Yeah, you want listings that you can have. And then I think people overcomplicate a lot of what they need. I mean, agents already have what they need. When you think about it, like, what does every buyer want? They want a house. What does every seller want? They want a buyer for their house. And so like advertising a list of homes for sale. And then on the other side, you can list of, hey, we've been building this list of buyers. We have buyers for your house. And like you can make it that simple. You don't need a lot of fancy tools to set up something as simple as that. I mean, there's definitely more effective ways when you dive deep into doing a lot. And there's a lot of nuance that you can really pull out at the advanced level. But at a basic level, like to the buyers, you advertise that you have houses. To the sellers, you advertise that you have buyers. And it can be pretty simple from there to start at least getting people in that you can talk to. Like you can get into like other tools, like with a Facebook lead ad, for example. One of the downsides is Facebook doesn't tell you when you get a new lead. It just sits in the back end of your page with 0 notifications. You have to technically go into the back end of the page, look, and then hit download. So you have to use a third-party tool to actually pull that lead out. And depending on your CRM, you could have it go right into your CRM and kick off some automations. Or you could just have it email the lead right into your inbox. The two tools we like for that is either Zapier or Leadsbridge. And those, it really depends. There's a couple of factors on which one you want to use. Zapier does a lot of other things automated wise. So if you are already using it, use Zapier. If you haven't used either one and you're only going to use it for Facebook lead ads, Leadsbridge is a little bit more user friendly. So we normally recommend going with that. And then the final consideration is what's your CRM? Because Leadsbridge might integrate with one group of CRMs, Zapier might integrate with a different. I mean, there's a lot of overlap there too, but you'd want to look at, does the tool I want to use actually integrate with the tools I'm using right now? But those are the two normally will cover everything for you.
And if they were going to spend the money on the leads because they don't receive the automatic notification, to me, it would just be so much more advantageous to invest in one of these third-party tools, because we spend a lot of money on lead gen in our industry, but our follow-up is horrific at best. And so I'm thinking the whole Zapier directly to MailChimp, Constant Contact, or Infusionsoft, because they want that automation to kick off with a sequence of emails going out to that person.
Yeah. And we look at even that a little bit differently too. Like the easiest one to seem to connect to that we find in real estate is Follow Up Boss. But what we really like about that one is because like there's a little bit of thing that we're doing with our clients. We're trying to go away from too much automation because it has that impersonal touch, and we want to kind of encourage that high touch service. But we like what Follow Up Boss does, and I think there's a few others that do it, is when they opt in, it'll send them a text message and then a series of emails. But the second the person responds, it shuts off the automation, and now the agent can jump in and have a real conversation. So the automation is just to solicit a response and then have a real human-to-human conversation.
Yeah, because some of the systems, it continues the sequence. And as a consumer, we think to ourselves, but we've interacted. Why are we still receiving these emails?
Especially if you like mentioned, oh yeah, I'm looking for a home with a pool. And then everything that in the communication comes up doesn't even mention a pool. So you want it to have that personal feel, which is why we like ones that shut off once somebody responds. And we've been testing a few different things. Like lately with guides, we've actually been testing one, but it's still too early to see how effective it is. But I think it's going to be good of sending them the guide as soon as they opt in. And then they just have one follow-up email. And the email basically just, and we're trying variations to see, but basically says, when are you thinking of selling your home? And that's it. Like no fancy signatures, no fancy introductions. Be like, hi, saw you got the guide. When are you thinking of selling your home? And then just letting them respond and seeing what kind of responses it gets. We're trying a bunch of different things. Like I was at a mastermind recently and they were talking about it. And one guy gets about a 20% response rate. So he's a coach. So he helps people build their business. And his automation is what delivers the guide. And he just says, well, what challenges do you have growing your business? Is the email that goes out the next day. And not everybody responds, but those who do are a lot more likely to buy from them. So that's what we're looking at. Like, what is the right phrase like that for real estate agents to consumers? It was just that very simple. And we use the same like simple email. So I don't know if you've heard of a man named Dean Jackson. Mm-hmm. So he's like one of the top email marketers out there. Actually started years and years ago in real estate. And he has this principle called the 9-word email. And we use it now to get a ton of deals for clients. So like the easiest way to test, and this is something that basically anyone could walk away right now and do. If you have a list of old leads in your database that are, say, 3 months or older that you haven't been in touch with or have never responded to you. So to you, it's like any lead that's older than 3 months, that's dead. We did this test with a client. We had 300 of those leads. We sent out the one email, the 9-word email, and we got 10 responses and 3 deals. And these were all just dead leads. And all the email said, it's very simple. The subject line, so she worked in a place called Barrie. The subject line was homes in Barrie. And all the email said was, hi, are you still looking to buy a home in Barrie? And then no fancy signature. Like she just put her name and like the required legal title for like, you have to have like sales rep and her brokerage. But that was it. That was the entire email. And it works great. So we actually kind of put a clock of like, hey, once a quarter, let's go back to all the leads that haven't been in touch and flip this email off to them. And just the simplicity of it. A lot of people try to like almost get cute with it. Like they try adding in little like, how's it going? I hope your family's doing well. And they add all the flowery language to it. And every time that happens, the response rate's lower than just a simple, are you still looking to buy a home?
Wow. Okay. I love that. Where do you see bots in this system?
I don't use them really, to be honest. We're not a huge bot fan.
Okay.
Especially like messenger bots. There's been like crackdowns. Like it hasn't actually come yet, but it's been announced. Like if you use a messenger bot and you send out broadcast messages, they're actually putting an end to anyone but news companies sending out broadcast messages on Messenger. I'm not exactly sure when. I just heard about this yesterday from a guy who runs a bot company. So I haven't read deep into the details because we don't do bots. It's back to that whole, like we're trying to go back to the human to human and like personal connection, which bots actually gets away from. So we're not huge fans of bots. I mean, there's definitely a place for them, especially if you have high volume. But personally, we'd rather like send out a simple email that people respond to and then have an actual person respond to that email.
What's kind of funny, I was interviewing a good friend of mine, and I was talking about the response rate. He says, Marky, of course, bots have a huge response because people want to turn the notification off of the message. And at that moment, it made so much sense because I hate to see that I have messages, but I'm also a person with a clean email, right? So I'm going to check it until I don't have that little dot because it annoys the heck out of me. And at that moment, I said, oh, that makes all the sense. He was like, yeah, they're not nearly as effective. People just click on them because they're annoying. And I said, okay. And it was just, he's so direct, right? It was like, okay, now it makes a lot of sense. Okay. So, and you did say that you were reducing the amount of automation, going back to the human touch. And so I was asking the bot question just to see where that played into it. And I'm glad that you came with the response that you did because it kind of lets me know. So we're using third-party tools like Zapier, LeadBridge, you said, and Follow Up Boss, right? Yeah. And we're putting them over to their email marketing. So, and then we can start automations. When we look at the incubation period, because you want to reduce the amount of automation, what does the follow-up look like? So I got you over in my email marketing, right? And you're in my customer relationship management. What should I be doing now?
So a little bit depends on how much work you're willing to do from an email perspective. So like, for instance, the agent that I know, his name's Chuck Charlton. They do about 140 deals a year, him and his wife and their team. Great team. And he actually emails his database 5 days a week. So Monday to Friday, sends them out an email. And there's actually a couple emails that go out on the Friday. And a lot of people are like, that's way too much. So like the joke that we use is like, the only day you send an email is days that you want to make money. And so, but it's a very simple thing. About like, what do people want? Like if people are opting into a real estate agent's thing, they want to find a house. So now we've segmented into 3 lists, but basically what he used to do is every day when he got to work, he would get to his computer, pull up MLS and just go through what new listings came out. One day he just started recording himself doing that and then sending the video out. So the video every Monday to Friday is just, here's the new listings in the market right now. And that gets sent out to the list. So he's already checking them every day anyways. And he'll walk through and be like, this one looks like a good deal because of this. This one actually doesn't look like a good deal because there's a development going next door. This one looks like a good deal, is in a good school area, slightly underpriced, put a little bit of work and it's going to be a great home. Sends that out 5 days a week.
So how long is that video?
Originally it was about 7 to 12 minutes. And in the past couple of years, he switched it to written. But it was just, he just recorded himself doing it. But now because his area is a huge one that had a ton of development, there's too many new listings every day to do it for everyone. So now he'll just cherry pick 10, 15 listings, and then he'll just do a quick written blurb. And he does the written blurb because the team's so busy that sometimes someone else on the team could potentially do it. So it doesn't have to be him every time doing it. But then every Friday, you can also opt in for a weekly email. So if daily's too much, on Fridays, you could just get a once a week update on new listings. And then on Friday, there's also a sold one where it's, here's what sold this week and what that means for the market.
And then based on the amount of houses he's selling, he has 1 to 3 listings that sell every single week.
Oh, most of them are not even his listings in the emails.
Oh, really?
It's just any listings on the market.
Oh, okay.
It's a general market update, essentially. Like, here's what listings have sold in his town, and here's like what that might mean. So it's a really effective one for him. And then he just adds, so back to actually the 9-word email, the guy who wrote that, his name is Dean Jackson. He also has what's called the super signature. And like, I'm sure you've seen the email, that's the email signature. It's like, oh, by the way, I'm never too busy for your referral. Like you probably see that at least 5 times a week. So his is just like, I love Dean the way, because he has great stories to explain his points. You should actually get him on the podcast if you get a chance. He's a brilliant guy to talk to.
Thank you.
The way that he explains it, he's like, if someone comes over to your house and you said, hey, let's go sit in the living room. Oh, by the way, in the kitchen, I have some cookies and milk. If you'd like to go get them, help yourself. How many people are actually going to walk over to your kitchen, open up the fridge and pull the stuff out? Maybe like 1 that you might know, if that.
Yeah, right? Especially the fridge, like, because it's contingent upon how you were raised. So I would hope not many people would go and open up my refrigerator, but you never know. So not a lot of people.
Yeah. And so what he says is like, that's the same thing as, oh, by the way, I'm never too busy for a referral. It's like this very like uncomfortable thing. He's like, now imagine the opposite scenario. Your friend comes over, sits down on your couch. You grab a plate of cookies, a glass of milk, shove it in their face and say, would you like some cookies and milk? How many now are going to take you up on it?
A lot of them. Oh, they would look at the cookies. If, they're not on a diet, you would get a substantially higher percentage of people who would eat the cookies. Yeah.
And so what he does is, that's what his equivalent, what he calls the super signature is. This is his version of shoving the milk and cookies in your face. And basically all it says, like, you put your contact info and then it goes, when you're ready, here's a few ways I can help you. 1, click here, find out what your home is worth. 2, maybe I already have a buyer for your home. Respond to this email, describe your home, and I'll let you know if we have someone for it already. 3, we go on tours of homes every Tuesday at 2:00. If you'd like to join us on our next one, reply to this email and I'll let you know where to meet us. And then sometimes you might add one like, 4, not sure which one's right for you, click here to book a 15-minute call with our team. But it's giving them the options exactly of what the next steps for them to take are, and it's making it a lot easier for them. So we've just add that to everything.
One thing, I was talking to someone that they pointed out, if you really want to be a listing agent, when you ask for referrals, you should ask for listings. And even though we can refer that buyer transaction, we should always be very specific in the ask. And for me, that's a very specific ask, because it's giving you the options to let you know I do more than one thing. And if you're buying here, if you're selling here, and if you want to join our weekly outing here, that we as real estate professionals need to be more precise in who we are targeting. When I'm thinking about the ads, what is the one thing it based on the amount of agents that you deal with that a lot of agents don't know, but you think that they would know because they're in real estate sales? And I'll give you an example if that's hard. I would think that when you decide to be an entrepreneur, right, you would have a business plan. And I'm amazed by the amount of real estate professionals who don't have a business plan. So they come over to you and now they want to do an ad. What's like the number one question they ask that you thought maybe they might have knew already or should have known already?
The one we get a lot is, do I even need a website?
So what's your response to that? That's a good one.
The hub of your entire online strategy. You need a website. So many people are like, oh, I have a Facebook page, I don't need a website. No, you do, because you don't own your Facebook page. You could get tomorrow for life and have no recourse to get it back, and you've lost everything. You own your website. You can make your website the hub. Most people who don't get results with their website, and so this happens all the time. We have people come to us like, which website provider should I pick? I'm with X company. The leads are crap. I've never gotten anything. So I'm looking for someone else. The first thing I ever ask is like, okay, what did you do to drive traffic to your website? And the answer is almost always the same: nothing. I'm like, it's the equivalent of taking a listing and not even putting a sign in the lawn or putting it on MLS. If you have a website, like, you have to get people there. Because like, if you just get any old website, it's like building a cabin in the woods, but not putting a road to get there. Like, you have to get people to that cabin in the woods. Like, that SEO comes in, paid ads come in. Like, SEO, it's kind of like building the road so they can find their way there. And you got to put signs on the road to show them which exit to get off at. Or you can pay for ads and just hire a taxi to drive people straight to your site. But you have to do something to get people to the site. And that's where I think most people screw up, and why they don't think websites are valuable, because they've never done anything with it.
That right there just blew my mind. It's like building a cabin in the woods with no road to get there. And that is exactly what they do. They do not have websites. And the cost of a website, I mean, essentially, you could probably get a decent one for as little as $30 a month. But you have to, it's an investment. And I'm amazed at, one, how many people don't invest in a website, but then also how many people keep their content private. And for me, my favorite little saying is, secret agents don't get found. And so if you're not consistently out there marketing and promoting yourself, then you're not going to be found, and you're going to be mad when they use the agent who is consistently reminding them of what they do. What type of content? So when we go back to this Facebook ad strategy, and I know that I do it wrong. I have my biggest audience is on my Facebook personal page, and I haven't invested in a lot of leads or ads on Facebook. One, because just not having the knowledge of setting them up and setting them up correctly. I'm high on content creation, however, which keeps me consistent leads because I'm forever creating and using social media. When we start thinking about this, because we're going to spend $10 a day, we understand the return. What else can I do with my Facebook business page to get people to engage with it, so then we can remarket back to the engagement off of our Facebook business page?
So the first thing you have to do is think about who's your ideal client. Like, every time we're bringing on a new client, we always ask them, who's your ideal client? most of the time we get the same answer. Oh, I'll work with anybody. But that's actually not what we're trying to figure out. Even if you will work with everybody, which is fine. If someone calls you, you're going to list their home. But when you write your marketing, when you write your content, you want it to speak to who the ideal person. Like you could be like, if every client I had was like this one person, I would be a happy person the rest of my life. So for instance, like we work with one woman who she loves working with working moms. That's her niche, is suburban working moms. And so everything she's doing content-wise is like, would a working mom find this interesting? Or like if I went back to sales, so like for instance, I have a show called Over a Pint where I sit down with interesting people over a pint of beer and we just talk about business. But for me, that's like interesting. And then people that kind of I'm going after like to see two people sit there and just like riff about business and kind of go in weird directions over a pint of beer. I know that that's my ideal one. If I went back to sales today, that's what I would do. I would take Over a Pint with local business owners, but then I would strategically pick the business owners based on who my ideal client is. So like I would look at one, who my ideal client is, where they're spending their time. Like, is it someone who's going to be doing yoga, or they're at the CrossFit gym? Or are they not even working out at all? Are they, going to like the library? So you want to look at like, what are they spending their time? And basically go and insert yourself creating content around kind of that world they already have. And building off of that. So you just look at like, where are they spending their time? And then how can you insert yourself into it as someone that they want to go to find more information? Like I'm really into mountain biking. So if I went back to sales, I would start being like, okay, let's go interview the bike store locally. And let's go like people who maintain the trails. Like there's a couple different tracks in the area. Like who maintains the trails? Let's talk with them about how they did that. 99% of people will not care about that. But the ones who do might be my ideal client. And they're the ones who are way more likely to respond and engage. So we'd look at it from that perspective.
And so you would then, for you, it's definitely Over the Pint, which I love, and then mountain bike. So that's two totally different things, but food and liquor are always a great connector. And then the physical activity, I think it's called the Ford model, that you're actually using here, and recreation would be kind of what we're looking at.
Because I would have a pint with the mountain biker to talk about mountain biking.
I love it.
So that's the way we connect. It's just like the gimmick of why we're connecting. And then here's the trick of every reason why people like, for instance, like a show like this, like you have a show, I have a show. One of the best side effects of the show, which for me is actually why I don't care if people watch my show or not, is how often would you and I ever spend an hour together? If it wasn't for the fact that we had a show connected. It's like I sat down with like CEOs of major companies in the real estate industry because I have a show to sit down with them about. Like we became the preferred supplier for a national brand in Canada. And it started because I got beers in an office with the CEO because he had seen one of his agents on the show. And then I invited him. He's like, I've seen it. Yeah. Like, let's chat. And then that kind of led down the road. Like I've actually gotten more business from guests on my show than from viewers. And we still get business from viewers too, but it's that access. So again, if I went back to sales, the time with the local business owners in person, because I do all my shows, that's kind of one of the unique spins I tried to take on it, was only in-person interviews, but also so I could get that person in face-to-face time, is if I was, again, selling, like go sit down with the local business owner for 2 hours and learn. And because the show's focused on them, they're talking about themselves, and everybody loves talking about themselves, that now they like you more. And now when they are talking to someone locally, because they're talking to your ideal clients if you pick them right, and that person's like, oh, I'm thinking of moving, you're the one that's going to pop up as the person they refer to. So it's using it that way instead of just, hey, let's get more viewers. It's also, let's build relationships with people locally that I want to build relationships with and help them get in front of my right people.
I think of podcasting as a one-on-one consultation. And so, every episode I've learned something new, right? And because we're able to ask or deep dive, we clarify. So, it reduces the amount of myths that we have about any and everything in the world. And so I think that I will be on my 1-year anniversary in a couple of months. that I'm substantially smarter as a result of podcasting, but then also people think of you as a thought leader because you're connected to all these other brilliant people. So I love the fact that I'm surrounded with people who are substantially smarter than I am. As a result, they make me smarter, right? Because when we, like the Facebook ads, you've broken down so many great things for me, and Facebook ads are scary for most realtors, and they don't have a budget set aside. They don't know how to do the ads. They don't even know the possibilities. They don't know custom audience, lookalike audiences. I mean, it's a lot of stuff we've gone over, right? And if they took the time, yes, they could implement it themselves, but they don't have to do that because you provide a service that will help them. So, Andrew, if people wanted to hire you, how do they find you and connect with you? Because I know just using Facebook every day can be overwhelming for most. Let's say they really want to be strategic. They want to generate, and I'm looking at the cost, right? The amount of ads they're generating based on the amount they're spending is phenomenal versus them buying those ads from someone else. And as I tell them, when they buy ads from other services, oftentimes there's a disconnect from the branding that the person initially interacted with. And then when they come and start talking to them, they're like, yeah, I thought those were different colors, different font. Everything is off. And so I don't think that they get as high of return on those leads because of a disconnect in the branding. So, Andrew, where they find you and how do they connect with you?
Easiest way is justsellhomes.com. So that's our website. Our company's called Just Sell Homes. So you just sell homes, we'll handle everything else. So my favorite thing is when we talk to a prospect and they say they just want to sell homes, because every time that means that they're sold. But so justsellhomes.com. You can also add me on Facebook if you can spell my last name, Andrew Fogliato. We also have a Facebook group for real estate agents. You can actually find it on our website. So if you go to the homepage, scroll down, it's there. It's called The Wheelhouse Tactics and Strategies for Real Estate Agents. There we share what we know. You can come in, ask any questions. Our team's there. And if you want to work with us, you can either have us do it for you or basically have us supporting you do it. And there's obviously different pricing depending on what you want to do, but we're there just to help people as much as we can. And so we've created a few different ways to do that depending on budget and kind of what strategy you want to take.
Well, Andrew, I truly appreciate your time, energy, and the abundance of knowledge and information that you shared today. Definitely, we're going to share this content because it'll be beneficial to all realtors. Thank you.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it a lot.
Bye-bye.